Welcome back, viewers. You're still on to the press, and we're reaching you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. We've now been joined by our guest, Engineer Toba Owojaiye, who's going to help us analyze on most of the top stories we read out to you earlier. Engineer Toba, you're welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure to have you.
Always a pleasure to be here.
All right, so let's hit on one of the most interesting stories that has made the round, especially since last week through the weekend and this week. So on the Daily Times, it says Tinubu orders release of minors involved in end bad governance protest and directs Humanitarian Affairs Ministry to ensure their welfare, reunion with their parents and guardians, whilst he also orders probe of all law enforcement agents involved in arrest and detention of these minors. And on the other hand, human rights activist Falana urges President to also drop case against other 101 protesters. Now, this is a conversation that has been a long time coming. They've arrested these children for so long. Why is it just now the president is talking? And I didn't expect that they would charge these minors to court. Is it even right to charge them to court in the first place and even talk about bailing them on a specific exorbitant amount? I feel like it's almost a little too late for the president to come out now and start making these orders. Let's get your thoughts on that.
Yes, first of all, the president has done what he should do. It's called too little, too late. So they had spent 90 days there. Yes, they were charged. Some of them broke their pictorial evidences. Where some of them broke into new facilities that were just built, carted away things. Some of them set some buildings on fire. All of that is by evidence. But you have to know their age. Yes, for arsenal charges and some other cases, a child above 7 years can be arrested, but cannot be detained for more than 72 hours. This is where we are saying. If you say you want
even
to
just a suspect is 48 hours in detention. So why have you kept them for 90 whole days?
So you said they carried a flag of another country, which is a treasonable offense. If interpreted in that way, for heaven's sake, you cannot hold minors for more than 72 hours. Release them to their guardians, release them to a person who will be a surety, a guarantor, maybe their local government chairman. Let them be in their states. These offenses were not committed in Abuja. They were committed in other states, even if their offenses too. That's my point. So there's no reason to have kept them for 90 days. Now, and I want to praise Nigerians. I want to praise VDM, who was one of the people who took this matter up. I am seeing Nigerians rising to save Nigeria. Because
we have SERAP, we have a lot of CSOs,
came up on board, FM shut down for 24 hours or more if these things had not come in. There was a public outcry and outrage. And the North also strongly backed their own. You see, this is why people don't understand the North sometimes. The North always has its own back. They can play with a few issues, but immediately they saw those minor children, immediately they started backing. And so we will remind you, they are still NSAS protesters, which is what Falana is saying. They are still NSAS protesters since 2020, languishing in jail and have not been tried. So what we expect from the president is a blanket release of these people. Nothing else will suffice. See, we must, yes, people can be charged to court, but the laws must be followed. The order must be followed. Things must be done right. And these are the issues we are having on ground. These are the issues that must be fixed in this country.
You know, it's just so annoying to discover that, well, let me not use the word annoying. It's so disturbing to discover that these children have been out of school as well, because in the last 3 months, a lot of things could have happened. They could have gone to school, they could have, maybe they were learning trades or something, but that's like losing 3 months of their lives. Who knows what kind of environment they were subjected to, what kind of treatment they were subjected to, which means that even when they are out of that place, there's a stigma on them already. That's the first thing. The second thing is, what is their mental health going to be like? Being in detention where you do not have freedom to move around. For children, who knows that I can move around here and there? You grounded them for more than a month. In fact, grounding a child for a whole week is a huge punishment. How much more? 3 whole months. Like, you don't have the opportunity to move around. You can't even see your parents. It's a lot, and I'm wondering why the president waited this long, and who are those who charged these children in the first place, who arrested them. We know that there are cases of, oh, let's probe, but we know at the end of the day we may never get the results of all of this.
You see, first of all, they were picked not just, you see, there's like 76 people, 36 are minors. There are others that are not minors.
Sure.
There's even a foreigner among them. So what the law enforcement agent did was to try to find pictorial evidences. They looked back at videos, they looked back at pictures, and went around and made arrests based on what they could see from the videos. There are pictures that show some of those children carrying things away. Yes, you can arrest them. Once they are above 7, the law of Nigeria allows you to be arrested. Once you're above 7 years, please children hear that. Once you're above 7 years, you can be arrested. But you cannot be detained. This is where we're trying to draw the line. They should have been coming from home to answer for this case. This is what we're saying. Even if you have evidence that they did this, they should come from home to answer, which is why the president is now finding out who are the officers behind this. And he may not be able to claim that he has never heard of these incidents, but this is the second time. The first time I heard of it was when they had spent 82 days, and was one of the persons who was able to get himself released, and he was able to come up with it. But then it was 82 days. And I was like, are you saying these people are still kept up till now? And we still have to raise our voice for the NSAS protesters. People are still being kept since October 20th of 2020. It is barbaric. The president should sometimes I wonder, is it that the North does not speak up, the South does not speak up for their own? The South too should speak up for their people. The North has spoken up for theirs. The whole country has carried it on their head. And we expect the South to speak up. Everybody that was held by NSAS should be given bail. If the cases are not completely wiped up, they should be given bail and they should answer their cases from home.
Well, I do hope that these children, away from just releasing them, and they said humanitarian ministry needs to take care of them, I hope that they really compensate them for the time lost, if it's even really worth it. All right, now let's quickly move on to other stories because of our time that is fast spent. Let's talk about what's happening with the economy. So I have this headline that says economy gradually coming out of challenges, says Tinubu, and now it says debt servicing down to 65% of revenue, and he's also charging his new ministers to be focused and forget about what the crowd is saying. Are you really seeing this as a situation where the economy is truly coming out of challenges? Because sometimes people say that the presidency tends to speak and the federal government tends to speak from a place of being aloof, not really seeing the realities of what citizens are going through. Do you really see it that way? Okay,
so the way the government rates an economy, the way an economist rates an economy, and the way the masses rate an economy are two different things. These are the matters.
All right. Before we proceed on that, let's go on a quick break. When we return back, the conversation continues. Stay with us. Welcome back, and apologies for that very brief break. And before we went on that break, you were talking about if the economy is truly stepping out of challenges. I know you said the government sees it from a different angle, but Away from seeing it or judging it on a different scale, let's talk about it in the sense of the realities of the time.
Okay, so still back to that.
Okay.
The government has the prerogative to see it from the angle. The economists have the angle from which they see it, and the masses have their angle from which we see it.
Okay.
Okay, the masses is basically about the price of goods and services.
Inflation.
Straight up. The masses don't want to hear debt servicing, they don't want to hear fiscal policies, monetary policies. They have no business with that. They have issues with transport, fuel, food, water, light, and housing. That's the basic needs and safety. Okay,
Sure.
so from that perspective, the economy is still doing very, very badly. But from the perspective of the president, he's seeing that the more we service our debts, the more likely we are, the better financial standing we have for our banks, for our companies, and for investors to want to come into Nigeria. This is his perspective. So pay up your debts. We're able to pay up our debts in the aviation sector, and we saw ourselves returned into going to Dubai. So that is part of why what people don't see on the front end, that we had accrued 97 billion in debts, and as it was being paid and it was clearly paid, then we now had those coming. So there are back end things that the government must do for the things we want to see come to pass. We saw that in only 10 out of 26 states had any foreign direct investment in a space of 1 year. That means there are indices that the rich are looking at. There are indices that investors are looking at and are saying, my funds will not be safe here. You understand that part? So, like in the whole world now, there's $17 trillion sitting on zero profits and zero loss. As a rich person, you would prefer to keep your money than lose your money. So what are we doing to attract those funds to Nigeria? Nigeria, you can run an eatery and it's successful. You can run a club and it's successful. There are many things you can do that can succeed. So how do we attract those things? Is by making sure that our debt ratio is reducing, our security is high. This is where we are still failing. For me, if I was the president, I would declare a state of emergency on the security state of this country.
You know, when you talk about this foreign direct investment and all of this, the layman tells you the only way for me to know that the economy is going out of challenges is if a business can run without failing. But right about now, the statistics is against the businesses.
So
people find it very difficult to run their businesses. And there was a particular time in this country that people would say, people would literally post on their social media pages, I bought this thing at such an outrageous amount. See what I bought it in my area, especially on X. And another person would say, this is the same amount. Your area is even cheaper. And when it became better, you will still find people still come and do the review. I got this at this rate. It means it's getting better. People still come out and say it. But the realities of these times is not even anything close to the statement that we hear from the president.
That's what I'm saying, that okay, I want to bring a company to Osun State. They want to invest $100 million into agriculture. There are many fancy projects, but they chose agriculture because that's most likely easiest to run. So they have to involve the state government. They have to involve every senator. They have to involve the traditional chiefs. Why? They need to have buy-in of all the stakeholders, so that somebody doesn't come with $100 million to invest in a state and they decide that one local deity doesn't like their company. Then what do you do? So investors think differently. We must understand that Seychelles and Ireland is the highest rated country in Africa in finance. They are number 56, and they make their money off tuna fish and tourism, because they are islands. So people just come from all over the world, fly in. They are very low rate of crime. Why? Because the people coming don't want to be robbed. Are you understanding where I'm coming from?
Absolutely.
So as a whole country,
They have zero tolerance on crime. They ensure that no indigene fights with a foreigner. For no reason, you have a case report to the police. So, for the reason of their national good, they've understood what they are selling. They are selling tourism. And the whole world is flying there, lodging at exorbitant rates to stay in a country that has less than 600,000 people. We need to think of Nigeria as a whole scale, not just this man is fighting me, let me fight him back. We need to see it as we need to attract the greatest funds. Back in the day, we had the biggest companies. We had Exide, we had Michelin. There were companies in Nigeria, so therefore there were jobs in Nigeria. So therefore there was money in Nigeria. We need to think of it on a holistic scale, which is what I'm saying. So the president is right in his words, but the masses are also very right in the fact that the cost of movement, the cost of life, the cost of living is unbearable at the moment.
It would interest you that World Bank said that nearly 47% of Nigerians live below poverty line.
Of course.
And it projected it to reach 52% by 2026.
Poverty line is $1.90, which in Nigeria is about presently 3,200 naira. And I can tell you that 80% of Nigerians are living lower than 3,200 naira for feeding per day. So they are very right.
Exactly. So how do you now see this as a way out, or we getting better? But anyways, what do you think of his rejigging, the cabinet reshuffle, and the new ministers is brought on board? Do you think this will make any difference, especially with the fact that we are talking about cutting cost of governance? We took out 5, we brought in 7.
I still see this as a political appointment, bringing in the highly rated and blessed Bianca to chill some southeastern tensions. The Minister of Youth was doing very poorly, and I was happy she was laid off. Why? She couldn't be accessible to the youths. Many youth groups complain. I heard many youth groups. She couldn't be accessible. How can you be the Minister of Youth and not be accessible to the youths you're supposed to reach to? See, this is not a high-class event. Just reach out to them, meet them. They would snap with you. They would put it on their social media pages. They would associate with you. There are many ways to rate your performance. The Minister of Women Affairs was known more for her outbursts, walking into meetings. I do not approve this meeting. How are you holding this meeting? Those, I mean, things that you and then the Minister of Education also decided that the only thing that was very important for him to do was to make a law that would stop 16 years old to go to university. Does he know how many years strike takes place? So you see, most of them did not. And then the other lady was ill for a long time. She got poisoned in her first 2 months of work. I have been to her office. Yes, she is hardly ever there. That, of course, that incident can scare anyone. So she virtually stopped coming to work. When you bring a file to our office, they would scan it and send it to her to look at. It was not working. Let's be honest about it. So those people removed were virtually good. But I have not looked at the people that have replaced them to see any wonders that will be turned. It is the economy that needs to be really looked at. They need to bring in others who are not of the same mind. See, sometimes you learn a lot by arguing with brilliant minds. Bring in the opposition, even if not directly. Bring them in as persons. Rejig this thing. Argue the thoughts with them. Because if you gather just sycophants, people who say the same thing, Tinubu is working, everybody just gather the same type of people, you will never be able to come to the reality of things on ground. So that's what I expect the president to do.
I totally agree. Well, today is the 5th day of November 2024, the most awaited 5th day of November. And I'm sure people in the United States right now, okay, they're still sleeping. It's almost morning. And we know it's the D-Day for the most contentious US election ever.
Yes.
That's the way I see it. And the battle is between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Who do you think is going to make the headway?
I'm very good at predicting elections,
yes,
but I have decided to stay out on this one because it's very, very, very close. Very, very close because there's a sharp divide. There are people who want a black president. There are people who want a first female president. There are people who believe Donald Trump is too far right. I'm going to deport people. I'm going to build walls. There are people who believe I'm going to retain America, make America great again. There are people who don't see themselves in America under those conditions and are already present in America, so they would support Kamala Harris. But there are those who want less wars. You see, Trump did all the backing, but he had 0 wars during his time. Because everybody knew that he would be able to take out his threat. So all of those things make it for a very sharp election. Most of the white people, purely white people, are supporting Trump. We have seen a growing number of blacks and Hispanics begin to support Trump. So it's a very close election, but I will give it to Trump.
Did you say blacks and Hispanics supporting Trump, or
yes,
you meant Harris?
No, I mean we are seeing a growing number of because generally the black votes belong to the Democrats,
of course,
naturally. But this, from the permutation I'm seeing, we are seeing a few of the black votes now moving to Trump. So I will give Trump a very narrow victory, but it's going to be really hard and really hard fought.
Do you really think Trump can actually get that access? Because there's a place of what women want.
Yes.
There's a place of women saying, my body is my right.
Yes.
Which Trump does not believe in.
Yes.
Trump has his own beliefs.
Yes.
Kamala has her own beliefs.
Yes.
And there are people, you know, I had to ask a couple of people in the United States. Like, I spoke with a couple of citizens and I was like, who do you think is going to run? And you hear some person say, I was talking to a particular woman and she was like, oh, Kamala has no clue of what's going on. So she doesn't even know what to do. So it's going to be Trump. Trump is a businessman. He knows how to run these things. And then you hear other people say, Trump is a liar. Trump lied to us. Trump did this. Trump did that. He cannot go anywhere. So it's pretty hard. Like, if I speak to 10 persons, you hear 5 persons talk of Kamala, supporting Kamala. You find 5 persons supporting Trump. So it's really a very dicey one that sometimes I wonder, who's really going to take the lead? Which
is why I said it's a very tight election and highly divided. Because economy-wise, Trump knows better of what he's saying and doing. Kamala has made a lot of flip-flops. There are some states in which she focuses her campaigns on some areas, and in another state she's double-speaking and campaigning for exactly opposite in another state, which is just, this is what you want to hear, so let me say what you want to hear. This place, this is what you want to hear,
and
so let me say.
And there's also a place of the growing LGBT
community, which is on her side,
which is strongly,
yes. But you see, there's a large population of those who are also saying, hey, this joke has gotten too far, because right now anybody can now use any toilet. These are the issues that people who are from a conservative background are saying, if we give these people a chance. And Kamala is just running away from the fact that she's vice president. I've never seen a vice president run away from the fact that she's vice president for the last 3.5 years. Every time she says, I will, hello, you are the vice president today. The president is virtually incapacitated, meaning you are the de facto president. All this, I will, you are the de facto president. As a matter of fact, she didn't have a primaries. People just don't want to talk about it. It was just a big trick.
It was like
they gave Biden. He didn't even do a primaries, and all of a sudden he steps down, and then 2 weeks later, I endorse Kamala. No democratic process by a party called Democrats, and one person just emerged. It's the greatest coup I've seen in a long time.
You know, someone once said, okay, a caller called in yesterday and was like, those who disrupt Nigerian elections are having it hot the same way. And I was like, I don't even know what you mean about that.
They are burning ballot boxes in some places.
But 77 million people have voted already.
Mailing boxes are still going to the wrong places. We are going to see drama. We are going to see
And you know,
Nigeria has to go and observe this election so that we will
really
get them right.
Today is really going to be a fun day, and I'm sure all eyes are going to be glued to the screen, and everybody wants to see what's going to happen in the United States. And I doubt people are even probably going to go to bed today. And it's just very funny because today is a day where emotions would not count. It will be the numbers.
Okay, but emotions always count in election, which is what Kamala is banking on, which is what Trump is banking on.
No, what I mean is, most of the time, emotions is what people carry around on the social media and the rest.
Yes.
But the numbers is what matters.
Yes.
Because sometimes you can be swayed by emotions of this is the person leading. This is what they think is happening,
I get your point
as per maybe popularity and what appeals to people. But sometimes what people go to their ballot box to tick is different from the emotions they present.
Yes.
So that's what I meant by today is a day where emotions is not what will count. It will be the numbers that comes out of whatever it is that they feel that will speak, because it's away from just emotions.
I see a very slim victory for Trump. Very slim.
All right. We still have just 2 minutes to quickly talk about what's happening in Nigeria with Dangote and petroleum marketers. Now we hear that they are saying that it's cheaper to import than to buy from Dangote. What's your take on that? In 2 minutes.
I've said this many times here, and I hope Dangote doesn't think I hate him, but we are talking about a billionaire monopolist. Dangote doesn't like being in any sort of competition, and understandably so. If you're a businessman and you're able to be the only person selling pure water in Abuja, you would prefer that circumstance. But every other pure water company has agreed to the reality that there are over 500 pure water companies in Abuja, and they are still selling. So Dangote now says there's a plant that's next to him providing blending substandard fuel. And those people say we are not blending substandard fuel, but we are providing fuel. Dangote doesn't want any competition. This is his stand. Now you are selling fuel for 990 to trucks. 990 naira. This is the first time we've been begging him for weeks to give us his price. He has hid his price for as long as possible. Now he has told us his fuel is 990. Entering into a truck is 960. Entering into a ship. And people say we can get fuel from outside the country for 700. Then please get us the fuel.
Exactly.
These are realities. These are just business realities that he needs to understand. He needs to be able to know that Nigerians are plenty. We are the largest market in Africa. He should sell to us on a daily level. He will make his profit. He will make all his profit at once, but he will make his profit. All
right. Thank you very much, Engineer Toba Owojaiye. It's always a pleasure to have you in the studio. Thank you so much. All right, viewers, thank you so much for being a part of the show today. And sincere apologies we couldn't take those calls. We'll take them again tomorrow. And I am Olamide Alhassan. See you again later. Bye for now.